Chad isn't here?
No, he's heading to Iowa, Upper Iowa.
Not gonna take your usual seat at the head of the table, Mr. White?
Thanks, I'll sit right here. This is a committee meeting.
It's not a committee meeting, we don't have committees.
Well, you can say what you want, I'm gonna sit right here.
Well, I
Go
can say
ahead.
what I want, I can say that the facts are this is not a committee meeting because we don't have any committees, this is a special meeting.
Well, I can sit here if you want, or I can leave. You can do whatever you want there, Sherry. I don't really care. You guys got to make some decisions here. What you want to do?
Well, that's mine.
Make them.
You can stay where you're at. We switched over.
You used to be at 10 what happened?
Well, I don't know, when I got the new phone, I couldn't afford it.
What are you doing there, Pilgrim? Hey, what's up, John?
Andy, do you want a copy of last year that we're going over?
Sure.
Last year's appropriation here. Ready?
Sure. Go ahead.
It's 20 after 8, so I would say that anybody that's choosing to come to the meeting today is here. So at this time, with the mayor, I guess you are refusing to chair this meeting.
Go ahead.
Excuse me? I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're shaking your head no, you don't want to chair, you're not going to chair this meeting?
No.
Okay.
You hear
Well,
that?
at this time, then, I guess I'd like to nominate our senior board member, Steve Gallagher, as our chairman of this meeting. If you will accept that nomination. I'd also like to nominate President Shauna Duncan to be our recording secretary to keep minutes for us, if she would be willing to do that today. Sharon? All in favor of Steve Gallagher being chairman of this meeting and Shauna Duncan being recording secretary to take minutes for us, all in favor say aye.
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 Since we don't have an agenda, did they put the reasons on it?
No, well, we don't have an agenda, and the agenda refers to this as a finance meeting anyway, which is not, a finance committee meeting, which is it's not, so.
Okay, let's get a call to order, do the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, we have to. If you don't have an agenda.
Okay, so we have Sherry Krogman,
Present.
Richard Waterman,
Here?
Steve Gallagher,
Here.
Dale Hinkleman,
Present.
Chad White is absent, Jason Shutter is absent, Mayor White
Yeah, I'm here.
is present. I wasn't sure if you were participating. And the clerk, Erickson, and treasurer, Mandel are absent. We have a quorum.
Wow.
Guys, before, if you don't mind, before we get started on the appropriations ordinance for this upcoming, I would like to make a motion that the tax levy ordinance is reposted on the front door immediately. Someone has torn it down. Last year's is still up there. I make a motion that we remove that information is no longer accurate or needed for anyone, and that we repost the current tax levy ordinance.
It's supposed to be on display.
Yes, it is supposed to be on display. Does anybody agree with that, want to second that?
Do we know why it was taken down,
I
Jim?
have no idea. Maybe the mayor can shed some light on that.
Not sure, I'd take that one down, though, be no problem. That last year's probably should be removed and then removed and posted.
It was posted.
Okay. You got anything else?
Any
Go
thoughts
ahead.
on that, guys? Anybody want to second that?
No, Rich already
Put a
said
motion.
that,
Yeah, Rich seconded it.
Okay. Everybody agree?
Yes.
I mean, it was posted before, it's supposed to be posted, and it's been torn down, okay. We'll get it reposted immediately after the meeting.
On to the ordinance for the appropriations.
Did you get a copy of this? Mike,
Yeah, so it wouldn't be.
you might want to read that.
Okay. This is a letter from Rick Lindell to trustees and appropriations, March 23rd, 2013. I was not able to accurately calculate the 2013 fiscal expenditures. Appropriated amounts as more data was still coming in as of last night. I will provide the final totals to the village in April.
Glad good that does this today.
It also would appear that he didn't do all the other homework that he said he was gonna do, and finding out about answering machines, integrated telephones.
Well, he
Et cetera,
does
et
say
cetera.
here that it
Says
needs to be
as-
offered in the same service.
Yeah.
Right, well, I did a little research on my own, and I found that to be, that statement right there to be inaccurate, let alone he didn't bother to check about buying an integrated answering machine, phone, whatever. So we'll see what he has for us at the April board meeting, if anything.
We're gonna go down this list one at a time, Steve, or?
I suppose we should. Does anybody see anything? I mean, we wouldn't have to, but we have to cover them all.
Without any numbers in front of us, we don't know if we exceeded anything,
Does
or.
anybody know of any that need raised or?
Well, I know we are
Lowered.
paying probably a little more for the police fund because the contract was raised from 300 something to 600 something, so it's pretty much double. Isn't that the way that was, Jim?
I'm sorry, couldn't hear what you said.
Didn't the police contract go up almost double?
Yes.
Speaking of the police contract, have we ever gotten that back?
Just, the only thing we have is the original document that they signed, said that they would provide us, police protection, $600 a month, but no detailed contract, no.
Have you called Attorney Polishek and asked him where that's at and why it has not been returned, Jim?
Yeah,
And what was his answer?
working on it, I guess.
All he needed to do was sign it and send it back.
I know how
Graham Lee
simple
sent
that
that to
sounds.
November 2nd of 2012, and he's just sitting on it?
Apparently, and apparently Graham Lee would be too, I guess, I don't know.
No, Graham and Susie Bogart signed their portions of it and sent it per your request to Polishek. That's as far as I can trace it. I don't know what happened to it from there. But that was on November 2nd of 2012.
Then I don't know.
Another question, Jim, did we get money back from, what entity were we giving money to when they closed it up? That wasn't the disaster fund, was it?
What did you get money for them?
Yeah, we
This
was,
this looks like the Henry County disaster unit or something.
Money in a bank account over at Blackhawk that was a disaster account.
that they are abolishing, if I'm
Yeah.
correct, and they're gonna refund monies.
I'd have to talk to Danny about that, I haven't, been so long since we've talked about that, I don't remember.
Well, I heard we were supposed to be getting a check from that, and,
You talked to somebody about the money?
yeah, actually. Said that they were abolishing that, and they were gonna, the contributions that were made, we were gonna get some of that back that hadn't been spent, so. He said we will do a small check. What I'm, reason I'm asking is, do we have to put, we don't have to set aside any money to give them now, correct?
That, whatever money was put in there was in an account that, to the best of my knowledge, that was separate from anything, you know, we had here on records. It was on an independent account for just disasters if they occurred. Now, since, I'm trying to think of the last time that, we put any money in that. It's probably been more than 4 or 5 years ago since we put any money in it.
I know we haven't done the last couple of years, I didn't know it would've been that long.
I can't remember either. We'd have to-
We're showing correctly, 3840?
Yeah, well, and that goes back to, that disaster fund was kinda all included with the, kicked it out with the, buyout money that was, we kinda combined all those together so that we had, was a little less overall going into it, if I remember right, from several years ago, but I don't know that we wanna reduce anything on that, just in case. You know, we've gotta have some, I might be able to use something like that, for instance, if we need to block the streets up or whatever. Just like with the police fund. If we're paying $600 a month on the contract, that's only $7,200 a year. We got $12,000 appropriated. Worst case scenario, we've still got some money in there to be able to cover, you know, contingencies like that. Well, yeah, or I don't know what that's amounting to, because that, that's why I said I kinda wanted to get some kinda idea of what they were charging us per scenario, cause they were talking about having 2 officers here at $50 an hour.
Yeah, it turns out there's a minimum, I think, of $100 or something.
So it's $45 an hour, $90.
Yeah, okay. Take, it's only another $1,200 a year, so. So we've got an extra 5 in that, so I don't know why we would need to up the ante on that.
Right.
Audit fund, that goes back to, the guy doing our audits every year. I can't think what his name is. Clower, yeah, Clower's bills. He charges around $500 for those audits that he does.
We're probably gonna want a big audit coming up when the changing of guards coming up.
You know, we've got the mosquito spray fund, and that should stay pretty stable there, I think. The only other thing we've got, you know, worst case with the mosquito fund, we got building and grounds, that if something would change on that, we could move some money out of that account. Street funds, those are funding themselves essentially through the appropriate, or the money that comes in from the state on that.
This contribution, that's our donations to charitable causes.
Right, that's,
Yeah, weren't we close to running out of money in that a year ago?
yeah, cause I think
We give to the police and firemen, we give to the food basket
Pantry.
at Christmas, the food pantry, and there's 3, I think. There's the food
Yeah.
pantry and then another thing at Christmas, isn't it, for food pantry? We give them twice?
yeah, cause there was like a food basket and a food pantry. or
Right,
something like
there's
that.
food pantry.
2 separate ones.
Yeah.
And then police and firemen.
The fireman's thing, Christmas
It
basket.
was given 300, I think we've got that down to 200.
I don't know that our utilities or anything like that, they're all staying pretty steady. I think we've compensated well for that. The only thing I can see here that, would make sense to change, it'd be just to, you know, maybe go through and,
$2,000 for pencils.
yeah, that, you know, I don't know that we, have, without some solid information, I guess I'd say I see no reason to have anything change, really.
Right.
I agree. Unless we set some hardcore numbers
I mean,
that.
that's kind of what we
Yeah,
were,
we're not looking at
Which
any
we don't have.
numbers.
well, and where we were at last year was the same scenario. I mean, what it boiled down to is that, you know, we kind of moved some stuff around so that it would
Right.
look, you know, better in the end.
You know, we got rid of a lot of the miscellaneous money that,
Yeah, we
last
gotta
year.
Well, Rick actually did it a couple times on some of his reports where he was showing us where we were at, which is what we've asked him to do in the past, where we were at for appropriations, and why he quit doing it, I'm not sure, but it seems to me like, you know, for what we got running through this little village here, I see no reason to change anything.
you making a motion on that?
Just a thought for discussion at the moment. I'd like to hear what the rest of you got to say.
I totally
about it.
agree with you.
I mean, the only thing I, would like to see is something formalized, I guess, and then at the, you know, at the end of it all, there's, like I said, no reason to, unless somebody's got some overwhelming desire to see more money. We don't really have any more income coming in, so.
With no more information that we have in front of us, I can't see any reason to change anything at this point either.
Did our mayor just decide up and leave?
No,
Hmm?
he went out for a smoke.
I don't think anything here doing this, but,
Does anybody else see any reason to
It's a
change?
pretty
anything?
informal meeting, Mr. Malone, do you have any,
Nope.
nothing, any questions, any concerns,
Um,
criticisms?
all the appropriations
Comment?
ordinance I'm looking at have been passed in April.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm hoping for, is that, I don't know that there's a drop dead date, but I'm
It
sure
has to
that.
be posted 10 days in advance of the meeting that it passes.
Right, right. So in order to do that, we'd almost have to post it, you know, sometime next week, and we can't really post it because we've gotta actually formalize it first.
Unless you really
Yeah, well, yeah, like I said, I see no reason to change anything here.
I don't see any reason to change anything. Steve, do you have any?
No, I don't think we wanna mess with any numbers since our treasurer has not provided us with any numbers.
You know, we've got nothing coming up on the street fund that, you know, yeah, there's things that probably need to be done, but
Right,
I don't know that we've really got the resources to make any changes.
that's what I'm saying, yeah.
You know, we've got considerably more than what that 35,000 is in our,
Building ground.
MFT.
yeah, MFT, that's what I'm thinking of. But even so, as far as the Rock the River fundraiser, haven't heard anything one way or the other on that. We'll let it ride for another year and see what
Yeah,
happens.
I would think.
If somebody wants to try and put one together this year,
Sure,
and we have the money appropriated so they can.
you know. As long as available, people are willing to provide us with information. I would certainly think that, we're not gonna break the budget if we buy a, new answering machine and the $2,000 office expense and supplies
Right.
deal. And,
yeah.
you know, I don't know about any of the rest of you, but my utility bills run pretty much the same last year as it did this year and year before. I mean, yeah, you got some nickels and dimes difference, but,
Well, we don't get any warmer weather here pretty soon.
well, yeah, there is that to be said.
Yeah.
I don't know, as far as the insurance, I've seen nothing that's told me that we're going anywhere higher with any of it.
Do we need a motion to,
that, the way this needs to work then, if I'm understanding the process, we have to have something posted that we're not going to change any of this. But we'll still need to have a copy of something that we could sign off on. I don't know that we could get away, well, he's got ordinance numbers and things like that that have to be put in that in order to let the public know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get anything out of our clerk for that.
Well, this one, looking at last year's, I didn't see a date on it.
Yeah, it's in
When's our fiscal year start exactly?
section 1 of the first page, Sherry.
When's our fiscal year start?
Second page.
Oh, I
Well,
see.
it's,
Well, April first.
January one.
yeah.
It starts January one?
No, our fiscal
Our
year is
starts
April
1.
First through March
to
31st.
April, essentially.
Yeah,
April
that's what I was
1st, March
thinking.
31st.
Well, see, that, by this, it says that we have to pass it within the first quarter of our fiscal year. Well, we don't have to do anything today. In our first quarter of our fiscal year doesn't start till April. That gives us 3 months after that to get this done. Why are we even doing this today? That's the way I'm reading it. Am I reading that correctly?
No, I don't think so.
Well, that's what it says
Alright,
here.
well, in order to expend resources, we have to have an appropriation ordinance. That's what it boils down to. We have to be able to establish that these are the amounts of monies that
Yeah.
we've decided that can be spent. We have to look under the actual statute that they're listing up there as the 65 ILS 5/8-2-9, 2011 as amended from time to time. In your first paragraph up there.
Mhm.
I see what you're saying, that, you know, an ordinance within the first quarter of the,
If this is printed correctly out of the book.
yeah, no, and I agree with you.
I don't know that ordinance, but if it's printed correctly out of the book, and that's what the book says, then we really don't have to do anything today. We could wait till after elections. Maybe by that time we'd have some better numbers from Rick Lindell.
Well, he says he's gonna bring it at the next meeting, so I mean, and I don't have a problem with that.
It's up to you guys.
Except that he also said at the last meeting, he
Well, I
had 2 or 3
understand that
days.
too, and if he doesn't, then we can formalize something at the next board meeting based on that, I
Look
guess.
down at the next paragraph, Rich,
Yeah.
section 1. This is last year's meeting,
Right,
and it says beginning April 1st, 2012. So all these appropriations will put together into an act by April 1st,
Right.
2012.
So realistically, we're not supposed to spend any money that we haven't appropriated after April 1st.
exactly.
Nobody's paychecks could come and
No.
Right.
all those.
No, wait a minute, Rick. This is a draft of expenditures for the village
Right.
that start April 1st, 2012. They had to be manufactured before April 1st, 2012. So your fiscal year starts April 1st, 2013.
Correct.
That's right.
So when you're saying you have a month to go, or 3 months to go, you're actually in the first quarter of the fiscal year you don't have appropriated for.
I see what you're saying, Dan. They,
It looks that way to me.
Yeah.
Like the deadline to get this done is April 1st, is what it looks like, because they enacted all these numbers on April 1st, 2012. These are last year's.
Our concern, Dan, is that if we go ahead and move forward and make a motion to leave these numbers the same, and then our treasurer finally ever brings us some numbers and something's radically changed, we may shoot ourselves in the foot here. We can't go back and change it.
Yeah, you can.
So, I mean,
You can.
we could, but, I mean, we wanna get some numbers solid today too, as much as we can. But again, our treasurer has failed us by not bringing those numbers forward and being at this meeting today. So we're kind of gonna have to wing it a little bit, and on basically hope and a prayer. We can go ahead and put together a new document
Well, what I would say.
and sign it.
What I would say to do is if you're happy with what you have from last year, pass this one, and then if the numbers come in,
Right.
we're gonna amend it.
That's what we're
You can
leaning
amend it.
towards too, Dan, I agree.
But
You know,
this has to be done before the next fiscal year.
yeah, which is,
April 1.
Right, and our next board meeting isn't until April 4th or 5th, whatever that date is. That was the reason for this special meeting today. Unfortunately, a couple of the key players chose not to come.
Wow.
So I think we're pretty comfortable making the motion to leave the numbers as is at this time.
Now, let's just go ahead, I'll make a motion that.
Well, we
leave
can't really-
The same as last year?
We can't really, enact anything today, as far as this goes. We can talk about this, we can set it up, this is what we wanna do, but for us to be able to enact something like this, it's like, it has to be posted for 10 days so that the public understands that this is what's gonna happen.
Okay, so I'm making a motion that we post this here, so we can ratify it at next month's meeting?
You know, that's what we can do.
Okay.
And use these as a guideline,
Yeah,
because if the adjustments come in and you have your next meeting and you go over things and the numbers are different, then you can post these as a guideline. Post them as a guideline, this is what we intend to do upon the next meeting, which is after April 1st, but at least you got a structure of some kind of financial system going into next fiscal year.
And I'm comfortable with that.
yeah. Me too.
So along with posting the tax levy, I would say post this, with a notation at the bottom of it that says last year's appropriation will roll into this year's. Because nobody's giving me any reason to wanna spend any more money. Like I said, the only thing that was really a key thing was the police contract.
But I think
and
there's plenty of money there.
we've already got, not quite double, but close to that
Sure.
in there appropriated just in case, so.
An extra 4,500 or so.
So it works for me. That's what I'd like to see happen. Just have that way any villager coming by that really chooses to do so can look on the board and say, oh, they're just gonna do what they did last year. That's all the requirement is.
We have that down.
Motion to post last year's appropriation for 2013 fiscal year.
As a
Yes.
guideline for,
Yeah, plenty of fiscal year.
Is somebody gonna need a piece of paper to rate something up to go with that, like what Leo was saying?
Like I said, the only thing we can do here would just be
If we're gonna post this up, we can just write it on the third page, can we?
Okay,
I think about that, Leo.
works for me. Like I said, we can't really pass it until
Right.
April board meeting, so.
Right.
If Rick does have something, we could amend it at that meeting.
okay, so this motion by Rich, and did you second that,
Yeah,
then,
sure,
Leo?
I'll second it.
And do we need to do a roll
Oh,
call
I
vote?
suppose, yeah.
Okay. Sherry Krugman,
I vote yes.
Rich Waterman motioned that, so Steve Valiger.
Yes.
And Mayor White, would you like to vote on that, or?
Hey, sound like you guys are doing things the way you're supposed to.
Okay, so, it is passed.
I think as far as phone thing, we can wait another month.
I'll look up some, I already looked at some phones and stuff, but
Well, my home phone bill, which is AT&T, runs $43 for the basic hanging on the wall services.
yeah.
You know, static with yours?
Sometimes it's clear as a bell.
Ours is
Mayor, do
getting
you have
terrible.
the keys to the office there, so we can see if there's any tape in there, so we can tape this stuff up, and
I can look up if there's any tape, if I can do it.
if not, I'll see if I can get some.
We got something there? Tax levy? What you were saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna tape
Just
up,
gonna tape that
well,
one.
this and the tax levy, tear down the old tax levy, put up the new tax levy, put up this ordinance, what are we writing on the third page?
right, that our intent is to use.
The intent of this board is to,
I don't know, maybe you can get it on this bottom paragraph right here.
Yeah, so that it's on
Right
the
on
front.
front.
That the annual appropriations will not change from 2012 to
go ahead, Sean, write it on there.
Put it right on the bottom, yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be fiscal 2014.
Okay, sorry, yeah, I'm.
Fiscal 2014 will not change from fiscal 2013.
I only have one other thought about the Rocky River thing.
Sure.
I always like to have it anyway. It's like we have the after party, so.
Sure.
And which everyone's invited. But according to the river levels, we may get flooded. We're not gonna be able to put it on by the regular time, last week in June.
Sure.
It's, our planning has to be February, early February, March. So, rather than put something up that is leaning toward a failure,
We can postpone it to a later
I'm
date.
good, well, if you postpone it to a later date, everything in the Quad Cities
Yeah.
is booked. That date, and Jim will tell you, that date was the only one open in the whole Quad Cities. From Memorial Day to Labor Day, every weekend is booked. We, used to have it a little bit later, and then Jim negotiated to get it in. That one we kinda like switched up with Kelowna. And, my thoughts are, to not see it fail, I'd rather not see it at all. I'd rather put it off till next year
Yeah.
I agree, Dan.
and get,
And we-
and it's just my thoughts. I have nothing.
Well, it's, like you said, it's kinda late already.
It's gonna be
Get
late,
started.
it's gonna late now,
And if we can't postpone it to a later date, then I totally agree with you too. And with this year with the elections coming up,
well,
it was hard to concentrate on smaller things like that.
and we're trying to put everything together, a little bit quick, but remember that when it comes around to next year,
You'll be here to remind me.
no, I may not.
We're gonna put you ahead of it.
I may not be around, then. But when it comes around next year, the appropriations that you have for it now that you are delaying will be sitting there. And when you do have Rocky River, it will flow into the next fiscal year. Because if you have it in June, you're looking at the next fiscal year. So it'll come up to the appropriations meeting again, and at about this time. And, but you'll know that you have the money in February. To make it a real success, you really gotta start early. You really have to get started, you gotta get, you know, you gotta get the right people, you gotta get the organizers, you gotta get the sponsors, you know, and this kind of thing, to get it done right. Now, rather than to have it fail, I'd rather not see it at all. I mean, I'd love to have it every year, but
Just make sure everybody's okay with that now.
I can't think of the organizer's kid's name, the big kid.
Oh, Aaron?
Aaron. You get a hold of Aaron in February and tell him next year, if you wanna get it started, start then. Because he can put it
I
on.
think we ought to put you in charge of it.
No. I'm gonna be.
There's no take on there or, duct tape. If you like, you wanna leave that there, I'll ask Mike if he'll post
Look
it.
at all these office supplies we got,
Yeah.
$2,000 appropriate, we don't even have any damn tape in the office.
No tape on there.
You don't have any electrical tape or anything in the front of box here.
Yeah, I do have some. Pretty fair, ain't it?
Pretty sad state of affairs, I'd say. Well,
Do you have a lady there?
do we get a motion to adjourn?
You have a letter here, do you?
I'll motion to it.
Motion for you?
Yeah, it's right here.
Second,
Right
yeah.
Let me see,
You'll second it?
Today's the
I'll
23rd.
second it. I'm
There
allowed
you
to.
go.
Well, that's where we're at, we need a copy in the office, you got the office unlocked, I need to make